Hello everyone! Welcome to Downtown Tailoring. Today's video is long overdue. I'm working on a double face wool coat. This is for one of my subscribers and she told me that she couldn't do the job herself because I haven't explained that yet. But from now on, it will be done. So let's go! This is my subscriber's coat and it requires extensive alterations. It's made of this beautiful double face coat where fabric and lining works together as one material. The lapels are a little too long, so we're going to start by moving the front button so the lapel will close a little higher. Then we need to take in sides, shorten the sleeves, and shorten the general length of the jacket. But let me show you how it's done. If you can see, this is the original sleeves. I'm gonna open it a little bit to show you how this is made. So as you can see, we can see the seam allowance of both layers, of course, but the layers are kind of interlocked with thread, but they can be easily pulled. What we have to take into account as well here, we have to check out for the seams because we have to work on them. So what we are gonna do, I have my mark of my hem, and as you can see, I measure the mark and then I am projecting the same mark in different points. And I do that because usually when you have sleeve with line, you can get so confused because you will always want to follow the lines, but the lines are not right. I mean, they are right in not being right. So instead of following the lines, I just make sure that I'm making a parallel line by measuring from the bottom part all the time. If you see any pattern of any sleeves, you will see that the pattern is not really straight. And this is why when you cut it, it won't follow a straight line either. So I mark my hemming line and then I'm gonna mark about 3/8 of the inch for seam allowance. So there is no room for redo here. We have to be careful. After my sleeves are cut, I'm gonna make sure to open enough for me to fold in the hem, as I show you in the original hem, right? The next step we have to take care of is the side seams. This coat is sewn with a felt seam in which one side is sewn to both lining and fabric and then is cleaned with the lining with the other side. So there is a point that we have to cut a little bit the seam allowance to make sure that by the hem we have the seam completely separate so we can fold the hem in the right way. So I'm making sure to sew top with top, like I'm showing you, and then lining with lining. So I have to make a little cut so I can do that stitching. Sorry, I didn't show you that. And now I have, at least at the end of my coat, the lining separated from the top part. I have to do that in every seam. This jacket has 2 seams at the sleeves. You can as well do that by hand if it's a little bit uncomfortable to go with your machine. After my seams are separated, then I will need to glue a little bit of interfacing. As you can see, my thinner tape interfacing is 1 inch, so I'm gonna cut it to make it 1/2 an inch. And then I'm gonna go to my ironing board and I'm gonna glue it to the edge of my top fabric. That way the sleeves will look better with a nicer body. Are you enjoying this video so far? Make sure to give it a like and comment. Your support boosts this video, which helps me keep sharing free sewing tips. I also have 2 other channels, so make sure to subscribe to them so that you don't miss any posts. If you want to take your sewing to the next level, I've created 2 in-depth e-courses, so don't forget to check them out and keep growing your sewing skills with me. I'm marking again the lines because they got erased when I ironed them, but it's okay. Now is the time to close that sleeve. And for that, I just need to fold it by the hemming line both the top part and the bottom part, and then sew them together as the original. And how I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna just use a ladder stitch. I'm gonna start in one side of the fabric, and then in that same point I go to the lining and then go up and then go to the fabric and so on. But every 2 stitches or so, I'm gonna make one back stitch just to make sure that it will be strong enough. And then when I finish, I just press it a little bit. Well, I didn't press it as you see. I just tap it a little bit. You don't wanna press wool. Now is the time for me to mark the hem. And we're not gonna talk too much about the hem because it's basically the same process. But while I'm marking my hem, I noticed that unfortunately the lines at the sides don't match. So even if I want to do the best job, at the end my lines cannot match either. But it's okay, nobody will notice it. So I'm marking my pinning, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm not taking in more than my customer wants. She specifically says that she doesn't want more than 5 inches, so although I mark it, I'm just checking that I'm not taking more than that amount. And let me show you a little bit more clear how those seams are made. As you can see, we have the 2 layers of the front part sewn to the outside fabric only. And then with the lining, we make a felt to cover that seam allowance. And this is exactly what we are gonna do. I mark my lines, my finished lines, and then I mark the seam allowance of 1 centimeter or 3/8 of the inch. And because I don't trust myself, I wrote 1 and 2. 2 meaning that the 2 layers has to be sewn together with the 1 layer at the other side. And now a little bit of meditation because I'm gonna cut my coat. I don't know if you noticed, but I mark where the labels were because I'm gonna remove the label and put the back, because usually those labels have the care instructions, and this is very important. So as I did before, I separated a little bit fabric and lining, and then I can go to my sewing machine, as I showed you before, the 2 pieces with the top part. And I'm gonna use my zipper foot because I separated the least I can, and I stitched my first side, and now I'm gonna stitch the second part. Now I'm gonna cut a little bit the excess of seam allowance so I can use the other seam allowance to fold it over and finish it. This way of finishing those seams is very old. Well, not the double face, but the finishing of the flat fell. Then I did the sewing of the flat by hand, and now I have to sew the body to the sleeve because I had to open a little bit the sleeve in order for me to do the job. And I'm gonna finish this one again. Remember, everything by hand for the inside finish. And this is how it's looking. You see, it's looking really good. When I did the sides, I didn't go straight until the bottom part because remember, I still have to make the new hem, and I have to turn again all the seams the same way I showed you before with the sleeves. Now I'm finishing my hem, and I can see that pretty much it's looking all good like the original. And this is my coat. It's looking great. It looks exactly like the original. It's just a little bit smaller. So now I have a question for you. Do you think that you can tackle that alteration now? If you find this video useful or entertaining, please give us a hype, give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. Bye!